Cicilline.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for convening this group of experts for today's hearing to discuss how the government uses personal data and how it collects it. Countless corporations collect, store, package, and sell our personal data. This has become an unavoidable feature of the 21st century. Yet I think few Americans understand what happens to their data after it's been collected, and even fewer grasp the ways law enforcement can access and use their data. We have a right to our data and a right to know how it's used and accessed, especially by large corporations and law enforcement. And with that, I have a couple of questions. And I first want to say, welcome to Chairman Goodlatte. It's great to see you. So my first question is, Professor Lambdin, I know some companies allow users to opt out of data collection or review privacy policies. Apple is always very proud of allowing iPhone users to change privacy settings for activity conducted on its platform. Do companies need to provide notice to users that their personal data is being collected by the companies that acquire it? And are users typically aware their information is being retained and then sold? And when they do provide notice, is it usually in a way that an average user would understand the consequences? And I guess what I'm really getting to is, on the whole, do you believe allowing consumers to choose what data is collected is an effective solution to protect consumer privacy against government access to personal data sets, or does more need to be done as a practical matter to protect consumers?
Right. That's a really good question, and the answer is unfortunately no, that's not sufficient. As we all know, we all click I agree, multiple times a day, and those agreements are all just saying that basically whatever data we hand over, it becomes theirs. They can sell it to whoever they want, and we will not know what happens with that data afterwards. So yeah, obviously there's a real shortcoming in our current kind of end user license agreement system where you just agree to have your data taken and resold in perpetuity.
And is it fair to conclude that most Americans have no idea that they are consenting to the sale of that data to third parties?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And also, in a lot of situations nowadays, companies try to make users feel more comfortable by saying, hey, we're going to anonymize your data. And, we're going to strip your name out of it. Nobody's going to know it's you. Google does that a lot. And your data can be re-identified with just several other data pieces about yourself. So yeah, anonymization is also an illusion.
And a Norwegian study found that Perfect 365, My Days, and OkCupid shared user data with a large number of third parties, including IP addresses, GPS locations, age, and gender. Furthermore, a lot of this information is collected by third-party trackers deployed by the apps and the websites. And so my question is, Ms. Gooden, how does the sale of such information to enable law enforcement and the government the ability to target Muslim Americans, as an example, LGBTQ plus Americans, other religious groups, or other historically underserved communities? And have you seen examples of that kind of use?
The short answer is yes, we have seen examples. I will say that the practice of buying data and the ways in which government agencies use that data is extremely non-transparent. There has been just a remarkable lack of transparency or even acknowledgement by government agencies that they are doing this, let alone any details about how the data is being used. But we have certainly, through the efforts of investigative reporters, have found out, for example, as I said earlier, the Department of Defense was acquiring geolocation information from a popular Muslim prayer app that's used by 90 million people, 98 million people around the world, including people in the United States, as well as a Muslim prayer app. And police departments, we know, have contracted with data brokers who advertise their ability to track racial justice protesters, Black Lives Matter, events, and the like. So we have absolutely seen that, and it shouldn't be surprising, right? Because when law enforcement has to actually get a warrant, has to show probable cause of criminal activity, that makes it much harder for law enforcement officers to fall back on whether it's conscious or subconscious prejudices. When there are no such restrictions, you are going to see more targeting of marginalized communities. And that I'm sorry to say, that is certainly what we are seeing and will see more of.
Thank you. And Chairman Goodlatte, if the government can target one community, they can target any. How concerned should we be that the government or law enforcement is able to purchase such information in criminal or counterintelligence investigations with little concern for Fourth Amendment protections?
Well, I think they should be able to acquire that data as long as they're following the rules. They have some basis for showing probable cause that they should have access to the information. But right now, we have a situation where we've shown a number of examples in our testimony here today of government agencies. And by the way, we've mainly talked about the federal government, but state and local governments are very heavily involved in this as well. They're simply going around the requirement of showing a warrant by gathering massive amounts of data and then picking at that data. When they go into court, they reverse engineer the evidence to show, yes, this person did this, this, and this, and don't show that they originally targeted their suspect by looking at thousands of law-abiding citizens to find the one. And that is exactly what the Fourth Amendment was designed to address, and why the Congress needs to act here. The courts are moving in this direction as well, with the Carpenter decision, with the Riley decision, but we shouldn't wait for the years it will take for the courts to catch up with this technology.
Thank you. With that, I yield back. Yes. I yield to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. A very quick question to Ms. Goitine. You mentioned, everybody's mentioned that the government tracks Muslims. They track other religious groups like Jews or Baptists?
They could track anyone they want. I mean, these
We have
companies...
any knowledge whether they do?
We don't at this point. And again, it's not, that is, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence in a situation where there is absolutely no transparency.
Thank you.